Today, we are diving into Ramit Sethi's absolute game changer of a book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And look, forget all the complicated jargon you've heard about finance. This is all about a simple, practical, step-by-step program to finally get your money sorted. So let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? You open a bill and your stomach just drops? Or maybe you feel this wave of guilt for buying something you really love. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. So much of personal finance is tied up in these awful negative emotions. But the goal here isn't to make you feel bad. It's about building a system so good that all that stress just fades away.
In this quote, this is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Being rich, according to Sethi, isn't about having a mountain of cash. It's about freedom. It's the freedom to not worry about money constantly. It's the freedom to spend a ton on the things you actually care about, all while your financial system just hums along perfectly in the background.
So how do we get there? We're going to follow 4 simple steps. First, we'll optimize our tools. That means getting our credit cards and bank accounts working for us, not against us. Then we'll learn how to spend consciously. After that, the best part, we put the whole thing on autopilot. And finally, we're going to make investing simple.
Okay, let's dive into step 1. Before you can build a house, you need good tools, right? Well, it's the same with your money. And for us, our tools are our credit cards and bank accounts. Seriously, getting these right is the absolute foundation. If you mess this part up, the rest of it just won't work.
Let's talk credit cards. Building good credit isn't some big secret. It really just comes down to being consistent. Pay your bill on time, every single time. And the easiest way to do that? Just automate it. And don't ever be afraid to call your credit card company and ask them to waive a fee. These little habits might seem small, but they save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Now let's bring that same smart thinking over to your bank accounts. When you're picking a bank, you really only have 2 main priorities. Avoid fees at all costs and get the highest interest rate you can find. And you know what? Because they don't have all those expensive physical branches, online banks almost always win on both counts. Think about it. Just one overdraft fee at a traditional bank can completely wipe out an entire year's worth of interest. It's crazy. And the difference in interest rates? Oh, it is just staggering. A big traditional bank might give you, 0.5% if you're lucky? An online bank can offer rates 10 times higher than that. That's the difference between your money just sitting there and your money actively working for you 24/7.
All right, on to step 2. Let's talk about the dreaded B word, budgeting. We've all tried it, right? And most budgets fail because they're all about tracking every single penny and feeling guilty about everything. Sethi's approach is totally different. This is not a budget, it's what he calls a conscious spending plan.
Here's the brilliant part. You tell your money where to go before you even have a chance to spend it. So about 50 to 60% goes to fixed costs, rent, utilities, the boring stuff. A solid 10% goes straight to investments. Another 5 to 10% for your savings goals like a vacation or a down payment. And the rest, that 20 to 35%, that is your guilt-free spending money. And this is the most important part. It's money you are supposed to spend on whatever you want. Exactly. This is the key mindset shift. Once your bills are paid and your investments and savings are handled, you have official permission to spend the rest of that money on anything you want, with zero guilt. You love expensive coffee? Go for it. You're obsessed with travel? Book that trip. It's all about consciously deciding what matters to you and then spending big on it.
And that brings us to step 3, which, I gotta say, is where the real magic happens. The goal here is to spend less than 1 hour a month managing your money. How is that even possible? Simple. You make the entire system automatic.
Wealthy people aren't sitting around all day moving money from one account to another. Nope. They just build a really smart system up front that uses automation to do all the heavy lifting for them. They work smarter, not harder.
And setting this up is so much easier than you think. It's basically a 4-step process. You link your accounts together, then you schedule automatic transfers to happen the day you get paid. Your investments, your savings, all of it gets funded first. Your bills get paid automatically. You just set it up once, and then you can pretty much forget about it.
And that leads us to our final step. Step 4, investing. Now, don't let this word scare you. This is the single most powerful tool for building wealth in history, and it is not just for rich people. The goal is to make it simple, automatic, and super effective over the long run.
Okay, this chart right here shows you the incredible power of compounding. Let's say you invest just $1,000. If you stick it in a typical savings account, sure, it might grow to about $3,000 over 40 years. Not bad. But If you invest that same $1,000 in the stock market, earning its historical average return, it could grow to over $21,000. That is the engine that builds real wealth. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market.
So how do you actually start? Well, you don't need to be some stock-picking genius. For most of us, something called a life cycle fund is the perfect, simple solution. Think of it as a set-it-and-forget-it investment. It's already diversified, and it automatically becomes safer and more conservative as you get closer to retirement. It's simple, and it's incredibly effective.
And that brings us right back to where we started. A rich life, a life of freedom, is built on a solid financial foundation. Once you have that control over your own money, you have the power to design the exact life you want, and maybe even help other people do the same.
So after all this, the question isn't if you should do this, but just where are you going to start? Will it be automating your credit card payment? Maybe setting up that first automatic transfer to your savings account? Just pick one thing. So what's the first step you're going to automate right now?